Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we will be talking about Kamala Harris's best case scenario in the 2024 presidential race. Of course, I have my own prediction, and this is not a prediction video. Again, this is the very best that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, the Democratic ticket, the very best they can possibly do in this election. It is their best case scenario. So, I have already filled in the safest of safe states. There might be a couple more. But these are the ultra safe states. They're not going, the Republican ones aren't getting, significantly closer with Kamala Harris's best case scenario. And of course, the Democratic states are only going to get more Democratic with, it being Harris's best case scenario. So these, the safest of safe states, I have Harris at 181 electoral votes. Donald Trump, J.D. Vance at a clear disadvantage at 81 electoral votes. So with that being said, let's get into this video. So first of all, I think that Colorado would be a safe state in this scenario. Again, these are the safest of safe states. I do believe that Colorado would shift a few points towards the Democrats in Harris's best case scenario. I believe that Virginia would actually become a safe state. Virginia voted for Biden by 10. I could see the well-educated, wealthy, voters around Washington, D.C., the DMV area, them turning out strongly enough for Harris to trend the state 5 points towards her. I could see with Tim Walz on the ticket the possibility of Minnesota going safe Democrat. It only voted for Biden by 7, so it's very much an uphill battle. But I could see it with Tim Walz on the ticket there, and I'm going to pause with safe Democratic states with that. Now, as for Donald Trump, he doesn't have any more safe states, so we'll just get right into likely states. So first of all, we have Montana, Kansas, Nebraska's 1st district, Missouri, and Indiana. These are 4 states plus 1 district, Nebraska's 1st, that are extremely Republican. Montana, Missouri, and Indiana all voted for Trump by a safe margin in 2020. However, they were very close to being likely, so I could see Kamala Harris making small gains in these states. And then as long as Harris stays at least stagnant or makes gains in Kansas and Nebraska's 1st, those would remain likely states as they were in 2020 as well. Now, South Carolina, I think that she could improve on Biden's numbers, even in her, even in a normal prediction, I think it's possible. Trump won it by 11.7 in 2020. High African American turnout, of course, for Kamala Harris, that could make it closer, but get it below a 5-point margin, probably not. And then we have the state of Alaska. I feel that Democrats could flip Alaska in the future, but Kamala Harris is not that candidate. I don't see her trending the state of Alaska 5 points to the left. Maybe other states like Virginia and Minnesota. Alaska, these more rural states, I do not see. I don't see her possibly being able to make gains such as that in these states. At least 5-point gains. And then honestly, Iowa. I think that Iowa is going to trend heavily towards the right in 2024. In her best case scenario, she stays about stagnant with the 2020 results, which were Trump plus 8. So I believe that is it. We might add a few more here and there. But that now puts, I guess we'll do likely Democratic states. That's only fair for the electoral vote count. But as for Kamala Harris, New Mexico, absolutely likely. New Mexico voted for Biden by almost 11. It's definitely fair to say it could be safe, but, the last time it was safe was in 2008, when Obama won it by just over 15. It was 15.1. Do I see it? Probably not. So, that's likely, and then this one, and then I guess we'll do some boring ones. And of course, New Hampshire stays likely, and Maine stays likely. New Hampshire voted for Biden by 7, Maine by 9. Are we going to see a 7-point trend in these types of states? Probably not. Minnesota with Tim Walz on the ticket, possible. But in these more rural states, I don't think that Kamala Harris will do very well in the rural areas, but she still does carry them quite handily. And then this one's a big one. That's the state of Michigan. Now, Michigan only voted for Biden by 2.8, so she has an uphill battle to make gains on his 2020 performance. However, she is looking very good in the polling numbers coming out of Michigan in 2024. That's 2020. She's ahead by 2.2. That is, I think that's the best on average in any of the battleground states other than Wisconsin. Wisconsin, she looks better. But I don't see her possibly being able to win Wisconsin by likely because the polling always way overestimates Democrats in Wisconsin. We go through this thing every time. So Michigan, I do think it is possible for Harris to make gains. If she gets the suburban voter turnout she needs, especially among suburban women, if she gets that turnout she needs and high African American turnout around the Detroit area, that is definitely possible to make Michigan likely. Now, let's see. As for the other states, I believe that Nebraska's 2nd district, that it will be likely, but could it be safe? Probably not. And then Nevada. This might be a hot take because Nevada, the polling doesn't look great for her. But she's only ahead by 0.7. That's not very good. She was just ahead by 1.4 not too long ago, a few days ago. She's only ahead by 0.7. Not, very good compared to the other battleground states. But Joe Biden won it by 2.4%. Hillary Clinton won it by 2.4%. This is a state that leans Democratic. Even in the red favored year of 2022, I should say, they voted for their Democratic Senator, Catherine Cortez Masto. They reelected her. This is a state where there is a significant portion of more Democrats than there are Republicans. So, Nevada, I believe will go to Kamala Harris despite the polling, because this is the one state where polling does always underestimate Democrats, or typically underestimates Democrats. And I mean, when you look at the voter registration, in this time period compared to 2020, African American voter registration up like more than double. Young African American women up 175% from 2020. Then you also have young Latinas. Young Latinas, their voter registration is surging compared to this time in 2020. And pollsters fail to capture that. They really do. So, that could be a very positive factor that's not being represented in polling in Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, Texas, Florida, these battleground Sunbelt states that are more diverse rather than the Rust Belt or more rural states. So Nevada, I could see going lean. So after likely and safe states, Kamala Harris, Tim Walz added 247 electoral votes. Donald Trump, J.D. Vance only at 131, not looking good for them. So now let's move on to lean states. So absolutely Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, if not lean, then likely. But when you look at Wisconsin, she looks very good in Wisconsin, right? Up 3.4%. But just take a look at 2020. This was the polling on election day. They said Biden would win by 8.4. He won by 0.6. The polling astronomically overestimates, I should say, Democrats in the state of Wisconsin. Now, Pennsylvania, on the other hand, does look increasingly close when you look at polling. But still, I do think that she hangs on by a lean margin. But this one is narrowing up. But yeah, whatever. They voted for Biden in 2020. Wisconsin voted for Biden. Harris will be able to at least match these numbers. And then we have Arizona. They're already over the top. Arizona went to Biden in 2020. Again, it is a trending left state with astronomical voter registration among young Latinas, other demographics which break heavily towards the Democrats. And then we have Georgia. This is another Biden state. If she gets high African American turnout on the metro areas and makes gains, around the suburbs around Atlanta, then she could trend this state a little bit towards the left. And I'd say that North Carolina, in her best case scenario, would also go blue by a lean margin, just over a point. This one was a little out of Biden's reach, but it is a very increasingly Democratic state. They are gaining population, and it is around the metro areas, the big cities, where Democrats get their votes. Now, that is it for lean states. Now, as for Donald Trump, I do think in the end he holds on to Maine second. It could get a little closer, but there was a poll that showed Harris ahead here. I doubt it. The polls all said Biden would win here in 2020. He lost by 7.4. Now, Ohio, I think it's out of reach for Harris at this point. Trump won it by 8 if she can get high turnout. You got the 3 C's, Cincinnati, Columbus, and Cleveland. You get good turnout in those cities. And you got a good chunk of rural voters who, more traditional Republicans, I should say, who stay home for Trump. That could spell a recipe of a close state in Ohio at least. And then we have Texas and Florida. I would say in Kamala Harris's very, very, very best case scenario, the very best she could possibly do on election day, I would say that she could carry both by a tilt margin. I currently think that the margin will be very similar in both, probably around 5 points. As of now, that's my prediction. When you look at the 2020 margins, Texas is a heavily trending left state. Trump is ahead by 5.6. She could, win by 6, or she could gain 6 points from 2020. I mean, you've got so many new suburban women moving to the state who are liberal-minded, right? Democratic voting. You've got astronomical voter registration numbers among African Americans, Latino voters who break heavily towards Harris. That could, signal, in her very best case scenario, again, a tilt margin win in Texas. Florida was close. I mean, this is a very trending Republican state. But who knows? You got a lot of older voters. Who knows how they're feeling about Trump right now, and whatever. I mean, it's still a relatively swingy state. So of course, Harris would win it in her very best case scenario. So in her best case scenario, it's a big blue wave. Harris and Tim Walz win 389 electoral votes. Donald Trump, J.D. Vance win 149. More of a landslide than 2020, more of a landslide than 2016, than 2012, even more of a landslide than 2008. That would be interesting to see. This is, let's see, so 149. This would be the biggest blowout. This would be the biggest blowout. Wow, it even beats 1996. It beats 1992. It'd be the biggest blowout since the election of 1888. So that would be definitely something to see. So thank you all for watching this video. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe down below. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers before election day. So if you could help me out with that, that would be great. Again, thank you all for watching. I will see you all next time.